What's up, everybody? It's Generation Tech, episode 33. We're back from a little hiatus, and we're back in time for the Apple event that came through today, so stay tuned for all that discussion.
Generation Tech, the weekly videocast for your inner geek, bringing you the hottest tech news from around the world. Brace yourselves, the show's about to start. It's Generation Tech. Here's your hosts, Rich Nieto and Matthew Burrows.
And again, welcome to Generation Tech. It is, March 9th, Monday, and there was quite an extensive Apple event today, so there's a lot to cover. I mean, Matt and I actually have not talked about anything that happened today, because we want this to be a fresh new conversation, so...
Fresh, as grandma's cooking.
Damn, dude, that was fucking actually really good.
The analogies today are on point.
Oh!
I just turned off my camera.
Nice.
I don't know why I did that. I was making the box bigger, okay? It was just a
Nice
joke.
Nice job. Well,
it's fine now, though.
We're back after a couple of weeks off, and technical difficulties aside, hopefully we'll be good, because it's been a while, a little rusty, but... Yeah. Let's start off. Because we have a lot to talk about, honestly. There's a lot that happened in this Apple event, so...
Yeah. I mean... I guess we could start off with the elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room?
I mean, not really. It's kind of actually like the least talked about thing at this point, I feel like. Which is the new MacBook. They kind of reinstalled the just plain old MacBook lineup to fit something in between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, which is interesting. I don't know. Let's get your thoughts on it first, and I'll tell you what I think about it.
Okay, so there's a lot to talk about this, because from a design standpoint, it's gorgeous. I mean, what can you not like about it? It's thin. It's super thin. And it comes in multiple colors, gold, which I don't really care much about. But this space gray is absolutely gorgeous. I've been wanting a black MacBook for the longest. And you actually had the only MacBook that came in black back in the day, right?
Yeah. Yep, I have that out in our family room there, so it's kind of a cool relic, but it's slow as hell, so there's no point of actually trying to use it.
But I mean, look,
it's pretty cool.
Look at these pictures. I mean, it's razor thin. It's basically a little bit thicker than an iPad Air too.
It's I think 23% thinner than the MacBook Air.
Yeah,
I think.
So it's 13 millimeters thin, which is crazy. I mean, all intents and purposes, this is like an iPad with like a keyboard case attached to it. I mean, that's basically what it is.
But the keyboard is so damn thin.
It is.
Like, it's as thin as the screen.
They had to re-engineer the keyboard. One other thing that's of noticeable improvement is actually the touchpad, which not only is a multi-gesture touchpad, but it has actually... force feedback, and also it senses how hard you're pressing on the trackpad, so it changes like how things work based on how hard you're touching it. So I mean, that's pretty awesome, and they included that on the 13-inch MacBook Pro, and we'll talk about the other MacBooks afterwards, but I think that's a really good addition. What do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely really making everything feel much more solid, I guess. They're kind of tightening up on design flaws that they've seen. And you mentioned a little bit earlier the keyboard is a bit different. They actually like reinvented the wheel kind of, and they took away the scissor keys, which I think everything except for mechanical keys have. No, even mechanical sometimes have scissor keys. But these have butterfly keys, so there's almost no wobble in the key, which I'm sure makes it feel really premium, which I'm kind of interested to see. And maybe they'll carry that over with the next generation of like MacBook Pros and stuff.
I'm sure. Even probably a standalone keyboard, maybe. But if you look at this picture, it shows the internals of this MacBook, and it's basically all battery. I mean, like the logic board is so small. It's smaller than an iPhone by far. I mean... They miniaturized the hell out of this logic board, and it's crazy to think about. And then you look at all the battery, and that's all this damn thing is. It's hard to comprehend, honestly. And then here they compare the 11-inch logic board for the MacBook Air 11-inch compared to the new one, and I mean, it's less than half the size. So
Yeah, for sure.
they had to really re-engineer the way everything was internally.
Yeah, this is their first fanless MacBook Pro as well, so it's kind of something to take in as like on top of everything. So they've really kind of like made everything super small, but with the logic board being so small, they're very limited on things that they can use. So it's maxed at I think 8 gigs of RAM, right?
Yes,
Or
that's
no,
the only configuration, 8 gigs
yeah.
of RAM.
And it only supports mobile processors, which sucks. The max you can get is a 1.2 gigahertz dual core processor.
Yes, the base is 1.1 and the upgrade is 1.2, which is weird to think it's only a zero point 0.1 gigahertz upgrade.
Yet it separates like $300-$400.
The big difference between the base and the upgraded is the storage. It doubles the storage to half a terabyte. But I mean, considering you're paying $300 more for just a 0.1 gigahertz upgrade and double the storage, that's a lot of money to me personally. But let's talk about like who is this for exactly? Because this is not. I mean, honestly, this I would never use this as a primary computer, and I highly doubt you would as well.
I'm totally disinterested in this because earlier I went through and looked at like the price points between the next model up, which is the MacBook Pro 13-inch, or the next model down, which is the 13-inch MacBook Air, or not 13. What am I saying? Just the MacBook Air, right?
Yeah.
And you could get a max spec MacBook Air for $300 less, and you're still getting a 2.3 gigahertz dual core, and you can have much better specs for the price, and you're actually saving money. And with the 13-inch MacBook Pro with Retina for $100 more, you can get a way better processor, which is an i5 and it's like a 2.8, 2.7, which you can turbo boost to 3.3. You can get higher RAM, you can get higher storage, and you also have the Retina display. So it's pretty similar, but I don't know. I feel like it's more worth it to get a 13-inch MacBook Pro.
Not to mention, even the discrete graphics card is better on the MacBook Pro. It has the Iris, not the Iris, the Iris, not the Iris Pro rather. This one has HD 5500 or something like that. I don't even know. 5300 actually. So you're losing on that as well. So I think the biggest drawback, I mean, other than power, obviously, because it's not packing a lot of punch. The biggest drawback with this thing is the I/O ports. There's only one, well, technically there's two ports, the headphone jack and the new USB-C port, which can do everything. It charges it. It could be HDMI, USB. It's all in one port. Brand new to Mac, and it's going to be coming out on all these other manufacturers as well down the road. But just the fact that, I mean, over the years, they've really been weaning us back on ports. On the MacBook Pro line, MacBook Air especially, I mean, they really restrict the number of USBs, Thunderbolt, everything in general. So now they really just completely took everything off. So now they have adapters for everything. They have a $80 adapter, which has a HDMI port, USB port, and what's the other one? I forget what the other one is, but
SD.
No, it's not SD. It's a 3-in-1.
Yeah, the one that comes with that is a USB, HDMI, and SD.
Oh, okay. Well,
and then there's a VGA and a
USB.
DisplayPort USB.
Yeah, so you need to buy adapters. I mean, if
the fact that they still sell a VGA port is like, why?
I can see that because, like, certain, like, for business purposes, a lot of projectors still only have a VGA. So
time to upgrade. Okay.
Yeah, no, I understand. But
I mean, you got HDMI projectors over there where you work.
Yeah, sure. But they're actually one of the older conference rooms has only VGA. It has VGA and DVI, so no HDMI.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the biggest drawback on this thing, and to also boot that you're paying at least $1,300 for this thing, and you're lacking the ports, you're lacking the power. It's a hard sell. You know, granted, it's supposed to be a middle tier MacBook. It's not a MacBook Air. I guess it's a little bit more powerful than a MacBook Air, slightly. You have to wait for the benchmarks on this because it's really tough to tell.
I'm sure that the i5 dual core will beat out the mobile processor.
Probably.
Easily.
Yeah, maybe.
It's guaranteed, I think.
Especially because this thing has a Retina display and the MacBook Air doesn't have to power
Yeah.
that. So,
But it's like that's the consumer that you're going for, really. Like, who would actually use the MacBook, just a plain old MacBook, uh, like for anything other than like surfing the web? Because if you're doing any sort of creative like platforms such as Photoshop or anything like that, you're gonna go for the MacBook Pro or the iMac or something like that. You're not gonna go for this. So it's kind of a niche product. I don't.
I mean, the way I saw it is it's either the person that really just is a web surfer, they're just using it for email, web surfing,
Yeah.
social media, that type of stuff, or it's the power user that needs something ultra portable. You know, like let's say you have a MacBook Pro or I have an iMac, right? And you want just something that's really portable. You're always traveling, you're always on the go. iPad's good, but you want something with a keyboard. So this is basically, like I said, an iPad with a with OS 10 on it and a keyboard. So that I feel like you really need the portability because you're sacrificing a lot and you're paying a lot for this product. Um, so
To be honest, though, like I'd rather save $300, give up 2 to 7 millimeters, whatever it is, for the MacBook Air, and that's still pretty portable,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
I don't. I mean, how portable do you need? Are people just not going to have like arms anymore? They can't hold a backpack or something like a purse.
Well, see, this is I don't know if you remember, but back when the MacBook Air came out, there was three different tiers. There's the MacBook Air, the MacBook Aluminum, and there's a MacBook Pro. They eventually phased out the regular MacBook, and there was just a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro. I feel like this new MacBook will eventually replace the Airs.
Yeah,
You know,
I could see that, but
when
like,
it's cheap enough, when the
Yeah.
products are able to be cheap enough where they can subsidize like a $1,000 price point, even less maybe. You know,
they're totally right now just milking as much as they can through the MacBook Air sales, like for as long as they can until they see that it's no longer needed.
I just think it's a matter of being able to produce this at a price point that's relative to the MacBook Air. Because the MacBook Pro, when that first came out with the Retina screen, that was like $3,000, like base, you know, something like that, $2,500 base. And eventually now you can get them for under $2,000, even a 15-inch model. So as time goes on, I feel like this will be the new MacBook Air, and then the MacBook Pro they'll keep, and they'll probably make it thinner slightly, not as thin as this,
Yeah.
obviously, but you know.
I mean, there's only so far that we can go. I mean, metal has to have some sort of like consistency to it. So, we can't go invisible.
Yeah.
That's obviously common sense. Let's be honest. So, I mean, there's a point where it's going to get so thin where we're limiting ourselves. And then there's a point where we're going to probably have to go back to being either to normal size laptops and stuff like that, or until the technology progresses. It's like batteries, It's like the same thing.
Well,
Battery technology.
we discussed the size limitations back when we talked about the modular phone. Remember the Google, I forget what they call it.
The Project Ara.
Yes, I think that's what it's called. But we talked about it. Like, for it to be modular, it's not all in one, so it had to be a little bit bigger. So,
Yeah.
like, and we're so used to thin phones that we're kind of taking a step backwards with that modular type of phone. So I feel like, yeah, we're reaching a point where everything's getting so small, but we're sacrificing power because of it. And,
Yeah.
there's always going to be power users. And
Mm-hmm.
even on the go, like, obviously desktops will always have the power behind it. But, I mean, there are people that need powerful MacBook Pros.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't like the trend that this is going. Even the MacBook Pros, like, they all used to have dedicated graphics cards. Mobile graphics cards, granted, but still, it's better than integrated.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of mixed, and they're slowly weaning us off of that.
Soldering in the RAM and the CPU and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like, there's a point where computers, I mean, people like to customize their computer some way or add on to it.
That's gone
And-
with Apple, though.
Yeah,
Completely.
that's not really even here. Like even with the Mac Pro, you're still limited to a certain selection of things, and it's mainly sold through Apple. So it's like, okay,
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not really liking the trend that's going. The one thing that really confused the hell out of me is first they have the three colors now. Why can't they make those three colors in the other lines, the Airs and the Pros? You know, it seems like it really makes sense, especially the space gray. I love the space gray. That looks amazing. I
Yeah.
would be all over a Mac Pro with the space gray. But I
Oh yeah.
understand it's new. They want the new MacBook to have some kind of novelty. Whatever. I can live with that. The other thing that really confused the hell out of me is the 13-inch MacBook Pro got a nice update this time. They got the upgraded trackpad with the haptic feedback, whatever. They got the new Broadwell processors and a couple other little things.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the 15-inch got nothing. There was no mention of an upgrade. So
Which sucks because that's like
so I
that. If I were to get a MacBook, that would be the one. I get.
Yeah, so it makes no sense. You're going to be spending so much more for a 15-inch, and you're not even getting like the newer trackpad. It's
Yeah.
just it boggles my mind. And obviously the Broadwell, the upgraded chip, you would like that as well. But it's mostly like the trackpad. Why couldn't they throw that in? I don't know. I mean, they're not going to
Yeah.
be
That's
phasing out the 15-inch MacBook Pro. That's not happening. There are definitely too many people that want that size.
yeah. That's like kind of a that's a granted like you what the frig I have a okay. That's kind of a granted thing to have is the 13 and the 15. Like the 15 is definitely for the more power users, and people who don't really care about portability because we just put it in our backpack and walk around with it and don't cry. But um, yeah, I don't know. I think they might have something more for us later in the year for the 15-inch. I don't know. I'm hoping.
I mean, I'm thinking they're probably going to be doing I don't know, because the Retina just came out and they already slimmed it down, so it would be too early for them to slim it even more.
Yeah.
So
Well, if they did like a processor upgrade or graphics card update, that'd be cool.
yeah, but
They went to like a 900 series.
they didn't touch
That's-
anything, so I don't know. It's just that really bothered me to see that they upgraded the 13-inch but not the 15-inch Pro. So
Yeah.
either way, so the next thing I want to talk about is the Apple TV, which they led off the keynote with, and they talked about we'll talk about it briefly. They led off with it, and I thought, holy shit, are they really going to drop a bombshell and talk about this new mystical Apple TV? But it had nothing to do with the hardware. It had to do mostly with HBO being like a subscription service for Apple products. 50,
I feel like that's the only reason that they brought that up.
yeah, well, it's $15 a month now for HBO, even without cable or whatever. And they did slash the price on the Apple TV. It's now $69 instead of $99. So
It's pretty nice.
that's a nice decrease. They had to, honestly. That thing's been around for a couple of years, and there was
Yeah.
no price drop, $100. Meanwhile, there were all these other new set-top boxes that were like half
Yeah.
the price.
And it's like I feel like it's even harder for them now because smart TVs are like everywhere.
Have it built in.
You know, when the Apple TV came out, smart TVs weren't like very prominent in the household. Now that's all we have is smart TVs here.
Mhm.
So it's like over the past few years, it's just like you're not needing this more. Like there's no more reason to have something like this. Even if you have like a gaming console, it's all built in, everything.
Yeah, the for me the Apple TV's always been about the AirPlay. You know, being able to
Yeah.
mirror your this devices onto your TV. That's all I ever use it for. I don't care about the apps and built-in streaming services. But the reason I think they touched on this is that they're leading up to this new Apple TV device probably next year or maybe
Yeah.
fall this year.
Yeah.
You know, because like they need to start getting people to know about Apple TV. And I think the HBO subscription thing is just something to start what other media companies are going to be doing. You know, instead of just cable TV being there, you're going to have all these different networks offering their own TV, their own channels through subscriptions like this. Now, $15 is a lot. I mean, for HBO, just for HBO, $15, it's a bit pricey.
Well, it depends. It depends what it's worth to you. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we have HBO because I watch Game of Thrones, so that's like worth it in itself because that's like freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But if you don't watch HBO or if you're just there to get like the
Movies.
blockbuster movies that they offer, I mean, it's not really worth it. I just like Netflix
Yeah.
or something.
But I think that's how it's going. It's going to be a la carte. You choose what channels you want. Because I have cable, obviously. everyone pretty much does. I mean, almost everybody. But you're stuck with a lot of channels you don't really need or care for, and you're still paying for them. So the a la carte, while each channel might be a little bit more expensive, you're in the end you probably will be saving money because you're not paying for all these crappy channels you don't really care about. Now, if you watch every single channel, maybe sticking with cable might be the way to go. But I think in the future, that's what the subscription model they're looking for. Like ESPN, you pay $5 a month, and TBS.
It's gonna get pricey so freaking quick.
It can, yeah. I mean, it depends.
I mean, if you watch HBO, ESPN, Netflix, that's like what? That's friggin' $50 a month right there.
Yeah. But think about it. How many channels do you need? Like, you can only watch one channel at once. And the last thing, the biggest thing they talked about, obviously, the reason everyone came to watch this event is the Apple Watch. So, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that they had to cover because they announced it in September with the iPhone keynote, but they really didn't go into nitty-gritty details about it. And now we know everything. We know pricing, we know specifications. One of the big things was the battery life, and they announced that it's going to be about 18 hours. So that should get you through the day on a single charge. So it'll take about 2.5 hours to fully charge it from 0 to 100%. So I mean, the biggest thing they had a problem with was the battery, apparently, with manufacturing these things, and I think they did pretty well. It's not the best battery life, but it's enough to get you through the day for the most part. So that's all you can really ask for, especially a first generation device.
Yeah, I think they've definitely paid attention to detail with this thing. That's for sure. But the pricing, I feel, is kind of weird. I feel like it's very much a premium product. It's almost like paying for an iPhone off contract. But how many people actually do that? But I don't know. I think it's definitely a cool product. It'll probably take off because it's Apple, and they wait until the time is right. So I think they've definitely waited long enough, and I think it's finally here. So I'm kind of excited to see where it goes.
I got to be honest with you. I've been really skeptical about this, about the Apple Watch. When they first announced it, I was like, holy shit, this looks amazing. I'm going to definitely buy, blah, blah, blah. But when you get to think about it, I mean, between the uncertainty about everything, the battery life, the pricing, you're hearing rumors about all the different prices. I was like, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
It just didn't seem like a product that, like the iPhone, obviously, you could see why it was such an amazing product. iPad even, everyone said at first before it came out, oh, it's just a bigger iPhone, doesn't, whatever. Doesn't really make sense to have both. But now that we've had the iPad for a while, you see why it makes sense. It's not just a bigger iPhone. It has different purposes. And once you actually get to use both, you really see why they're different. Like, apps are tailored to different screen sizes, and they give you a different experience on each size. So that makes sense to everyone now. This, I mean, I even saw people saying that, oh, the Apple Watch is just a smaller iPhone. It's a phone on your watch. It's really not. I mean, I'm not that naive to think that way. It's just a notification device. It's something that's always on. It's always on your wrist, and everything can always be quickly glanced at. That's what it is. Yeah. It's just when something comes in on your phone, you always, like, it'll rumble on your hand. You quickly glance at it. Oh, someone's calling me. Someone's texting me. Blah blah blah. And then you could take out your phone if you decide to really want to do something. So there's different purposes, but still. It doesn't seem like it's that next innovative big thing that Apple's always been about. I don't know. It just didn't seem as I don't even know how to put it. But you know what I mean?
I think the main reason that you think that is because we literally knew everything that they were going to release like 3 months ago. So it's like kind of like, oh yeah, it's the Apple Watch. We know what it is. We know pretty much everything about it. And it wasn't like so exciting as the iPad launch was, if that makes sense. With their new products, they definitely hype it up normally, and this wasn't too hyped up. But can we just quickly talk on the pricing and how BS it is on some of these things? $17,000.
Whoa! Let's work our way up. Obviously, $17,000.
No, started from the top. No, I'm just kidding.
Obviously, $17,000. We'll get to there. But the sport model. That's their base Apple Watch.
350.
It starts at 350, right? So actually,
It's still kind of pricey, but it's not.
Not to mention, it's 350 for the smaller version. There's a $50 premium to up it to the 42 millimeter.
42.
So and that's what most guys like us are gonna get. You know, we want the bigger face. The small one be a little too small. It's for women, generally speaking, obviously.
Or smaller wrists, or a big watch.
Yeah, so it's 350 for the smaller one, 400 for the bigger one. That's the standard price for the sport. Okay, whatever. To me, that's still a bit pricey, but okay, that it's fine for a base starting price. And actually, I didn't realize that they're going to make a space gray model until the other day. I was looking at Apple's website. So at least they give you the option. You get the silver or the space gray, so that's cool. Now, this is where it starts getting interesting. The regular Apple Watch. So it's the stainless steel. It comes in the lighter aluminum looking stainless steel, the lighter color, silver, and then the space gray. Those start at $550. Now, depending on the band you want to get, that can easily jump in price. I mean, you're looking at like
$900.
Well, they have the leather ones, which are about $700. Then they have this Milanese loop looking thing, which is $650, $700. These other leather bands are $750.
I like the midnight blue one. That one's pretty.
$750, you know. But the one I wanted to get, is this one. Now it's a steel link bracelet, and I wanted to get the space black one. Now, apparently, space black only comes with this band, which looks absolutely amazing. I love it, but
looks like a Batman watch.
Yeah, but for $1,100.
Yeah, no.
$1,100.
I don't know.
I mean,
it depends. I mean, like with a watch, because you have nice watches. I have a nice watch, a single nice watch. You can kind of justify the premium because it's so mechanically sound, or it's very intricate. It's kind of almost like an art. With this, it's electronic. It's not like an actual watch. There's nothing powering it other than the battery and that stuff. So you're really paying a lot for the watch itself.
So I'm gonna hold my discussion on the prices and stuff, like the overall pricing schematic after once we talk about the gold one, because I have something to say. But
I have something for you.
But the thing that really gets me is when you look at the two stainless steel with the link bracelets, they're the exact same style, same materials. Yeah. Just one is black and one is silver. There's $100 difference. Why? I
think it's painted, or probably. I don't think they'd use a black metal. Yeah. It's probably exact same stainless.
No, it's made with a black metal. Like, why is there $100 difference between the two? It's just the color. Same material though.
It should be the same.
It should be the same, but it's not. And that's what pisses me off. Is to get the space gray model, the space black rather.
Why'd they call it space black? First of all, that's completely against everything. They've never had a space black
product. It looks like it's darker than the space gray.
Yeah.
So,
but still, like, why didn't they have a space black iPhone?
It doesn't. I don't know. But anyway, you have to get it for $1,100. There's no like cheaper brand, which I probably wouldn't have gotten. I wouldn't get that specific one with the cheaper band. I wanted that specific configuration. So I'll talk about which one I'm getting afterwards. But okay, so that's the steel, which was really I don't know. I mean, starting at $550 is reasonable, but the bands is what makes it so expensive, and it's like. It's a bit much.
We'll go over the band pricing afterwards.
Yeah. So now let's get to what you wanted. The edition. Okay.
Who want to get a booty beat? All right. Anyway, so this is so ridiculously priced that it's ridiculous. Did I say ridiculous?
Redonkulous.
Okay. So we'll just go right to the top here. 38 millimeter. This is like a feminine watch. Very feminine. 18 karat rose gold case with rose gray modern buckle. $17,000. What in the hell? That is a friggin' down payment on a nice car, like a very nice car, $20,000 to drop on a friggin' watch. Like, dude, it's not even like a branded watch. Apple's not renowned for their watches. Why would you spend $17,000 on a watch?
Yeah, so let me start off with this. The 38 millimeter with 18 karat gold rose gold with a white sport band is $10,000. So you're
That's a cheap
spending
one.
10 grand and you're getting a silicone sport band. Like something just doesn't compute. Like you would think for that much, okay, maybe for that much you're not going to get a gold band, but I would think some kind of metal, some kind of premium feeling product at least.
At least like a
Leather,
like a
something.
very nice leather.
I mean,
Imagine the profit margin on this thing.
so I mean, gold is expensive obviously, but I don't think this is worth its weight in gold. As the old cliche goes, I mean, it's a small amount of gold. It's not $10,000 worth of gold. I read somewhere because I was reading on the Mac Rumors website. They were trying to find out how much this gold would be worth, like in its weight, and it was somewhere around $1,000, like $1,000 to $1,500. And I mean, for them to sell it starting at 10,000, that's just ridiculous. So I understand. I understand why they're pricing it this way, though. I mean, you think about all the prestigious watches that are out there, the Rolexes of the world and stuff like that. They're all, $10,000 like a cheap Rolex. I mean, really.
Yeah.
So they're really catering to the posh people, the people that have a lot of disposable income that want that statement piece. And if they were to price this thing at like $4,000, $5,000, all these people would think it's an inferior inferior watch. It wouldn't show their prestige factor as much as like a nice Rolex. So
That's the thing, though. It doesn't. No matter what, it won't show the prestige factor. If you saw a business meeting, a guy with like a really high end Rolex, I feel like you'd point that out more than you would a gold iWatch. Like you'd be like, all right, that's like a Pebble or whatever.
Yeah, and not to mention a lot of people probably won't even think it's real gold. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like the iPhone, it's not real gold. It looks like the same thing.
It looks gold, but it isn't.
Like especially the Apple logo on the back, it looks like the exact same. It's a shiny brushed gold steel, maybe. I don't know, but
yeah,
this is the thing that really gets me. Is, oh shoot, what was I gonna say?
It really gets him so bad that he doesn't even remember.
Oh yes, yes.
Pricey.
I now I understand. So, I understand paying a lot for a Rolex or whatever brand you may think for a luxury watch. You spend 10,000, 15. It can go to $50,000, $100,000. I understand that because it's a timeless piece. It's something that you will always have. You'll pass down to your children, your grandchildren. It's a classic. It's something that, like I said, it's timeless.
This outdates in 2 years.
A watch from Apple, I mean, it's only as good as its components inside. Like you said, 2 years, maybe 4 years before everything gets.
That's stretching it.
Before it gets slow, and it's not even compatible with your phone. Maybe where it won't tether because it's using two different Bluetooth technologies. Maybe so it's not something you can hold for 10 years or 50 years. So to spend that kind of money, it's just you really need to be having a lot of disposable income, or you want to make that statement, that wow factor. For people that are making 7 figures a year, $10,000 is not a lot. I mean, that's just like for us buying a candy bar. So you got to put in relative.
I mean, if you're making 7 figures a year, they're probably smart enough not to buy this just because they know that it's a dumb investment. But that's just me. Like I could see maybe like athletes endorsing this with they're making 7 figures a year, and they're probably one of the more apt to buy something like this.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been into gold anyway. I'm more of a white gold or platinum or something like that. I like that color better. So
I think gold makes you look old and cheesy.
I mean,
like it's more of an older person color. I feel.
Yeah, like it needs to be. I don't know. I've never been a gold person, so that's why I never even considered it. But to all those people that wanted a gold and to match their phone, to match their iPad, maybe, it's not going to happen unless you happen to win the lottery or something like that. So,
what I think was funny, real quick before we move on, is how 6 months or so, we were kind of like guesstimating what the price would have been for this. We were like, oh yeah, it'd be like $1,600 for the gold one. That shot our range like out of the water. Just said, screw you.
Yeah,
Here's $10,000 minimum price tag.
I mean, I thought maybe the highest would be like 2,500. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna end up getting the sport model in space gray, about $400. I mean, still, it's the lowest price is not like an impulse buy. You know, it's not like the Apple TV. Oh, it's $100 or sub $100.
$70.
Where it's like you walk in the store. Oh, you know what? This is new. I'll try it out. No, this is not to mention you have to have a phone, an iPhone to go with it. So it's like
they're expecting you to have an $800 product to put next to your $500 watch minimum.
The price of entry to have this experience is, you know, quite a bit. It's not cheap.
It's definitely a premium, and I feel like if you see people with the iWatch, it won't be like an everyday person, you know.
No.
It'll definitely be someone who's either like a fanboy or like a tech geek.
But yeah, I thought it was like $2,500 back then. You know, that's how much the gold would be, and you know, maybe the steel, the middle one would be like, you know, 500. I guess 500 is about where it is, but it's just the bands. Like, why they couldn't make like a metal one that was maybe a little cheaper, you know, not made with like some premium product. It's like either you're stuck with the silicone one or you got to pay $500 to get a metal one. You know, there's no real in between, and that's what really gets me. You know.
Yeah.
So
it's like, I don't know. It's almost as though they're really wanting to space out their premium products versus their, because I feel like the new MacBook is almost like a premium MacBook Air.
Yeah.
It's like the gold edition of the MacBook Air, but not as drastic.
Yeah. No, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should. I don't know. I'm not liking this trend of Apple. You know, it's
mainstream.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's mainstream, but I mean, to me, they do it the best. You know, like I still wouldn't be going to Google for Android or whatever, Windows or anything.
Yeah.
But it just seems like little by little they're making their devices more expensive with less features. You know, maybe not less features. That's wrong to say.
Less. It's more of less longevity, less customizability.
Yeah.
Type stuff. Not really customizability, but kind of. You can't regularly maintain it and update it. You know.
But the longevity, that's the thing. It's like back in the day, you can upgrade your computer, and a computer can easily last you like 5 or 6 years. Now, if you don't get the top of the line, the base model is not going to last you that long, and you can't upgrade it, obviously. So
yeah.
And even with the Mac Pro, I mean, they sacrifice a lot to make it smaller. It's just this whole thing with size. Sure, it's great. Everything's getting thinner or lighter, but it's always at a sacrifice. And
oh, speaking of sacrifice, real quick, did you see that the MacBook only comes with a 480p webcam?
yes, that's another like.
What the hell is that?
Like, I understand that like the screen is really small, like really thin.
But still.
But does a 1080p camera really, or 720, whatever the FaceTime was, would it really add that much more bulk?
Are you like, that was like, are you serious? A 480p? Like, yeah, let's step back like friggin' like 8 years and let's go 480p, because that was the real HD back in the day. And that's, I don't know. That's just like, really?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to use this for anything.
I mean, yeah, like you're spending that much and you're getting what you are. It's, I don't know. It's a tough justifiable purchase. It really is.
Yeah. Same with the watch for me.
And
both products.
Not to mention, like, I'm interested to see where the Apple Watch, like, how often it's going to be refreshed. Is it a yearly thing? It's a bi-yearly thing. And I got to imagine the next iteration of this next generation of the Apple Watch is going to be thinner. I've mentioned it in the previous episodes. It just seems
circular.
I'm sure they'll make a circular version probably down the road, but I just feel like it's a little bloated. You know, it's very rounded on the edges, and it just seems a little thick. I could totally see them making a thinner version next time around. Which is why I wouldn't be wanting to spend $1,100 on a version this year just to buy another one next year.
See, that's the thing, though. Apple's not a watch like not in the watch business, so they don't really know the watch kind of. I don't know how to say it, but that like how the watch system works. You don't just update your watch every 2 years. You have a collection of watches normally, and you won't just get rid of your old watch and be like, oh yeah, I got this new Rolex that's updated. No, you'll have all your generations of watches because they still all work. I mean, time does not really outdate. I mean, it's kind of a thing, but this will definitely outdate at some point. So you're gonna have to upgrade, and that's kind of a weird thing to think about, upgrading a watch that you just dropped like $600, $700 for.
But see, that's the thing. Also, it's not that it's about a watch, because watches are more fashion pieces. You know, they're an accessory. Yeah. They don't. I mean, no one really bothers a watch to tell time. That's just not what it is anymore. Maybe back in 20 whatever plus years ago, but now there's so many different ways to tell time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't serve a functional purpose. It's all about style. The Apple Watch is more about fashion also, but also it has function. So, and it has technology built into it, which always needs to be updated. You know, it's not something that, like I said, it's not a timeless piece where this can last forever. Like the iPhone 20 down the road, it's not going to be compatible with this Apple Watch. It's just not going to be. I can tell you that for sure, 100%. So, that's just, I don't know. I feel like it's not going to be a flop. It's not going to be not successful, but I don't think it's going to be as much as popular, especially early on, that an iPad or an iPhone was. It's definitely not as popular as the iPhone.
Yeah,
but
the iPad outsold like its like guess by like it doubled at like 9 million units, and they only estimated that it would sell like 4. And they estimated pretty high on this year for the Apple. They estimated like 18 million.
I don't know if it was 18 million. It was a lot, though.
It was quite a bit, because they said overall it was going to jump the watches to like 26 million units sold worldwide for like all of the top tier watches. So it's like, that's a really big jump, and that's a really big estimation.
And the other thing is, a lot of people are going to be buying the sport model because that's just more reasonable. But it's weird that they called out the sport, and then the regular version is the Apple Watch. That's, that's quite a bit to be spending on this thing. So I'm just also confused by the tiering.
I think that's just kind of bad. I feel like that's a bad marketing design,
because it makes it almost feel like the sport one is kind of cheap. You know,
they should just call it like the iWatch Classic or something.
Yeah,
just so, because you don't feel like you're getting kind of like gypped.
Yeah,
you know?
But
it's like, oh yeah, I got the iWatch Sport, or I got the iWatch. I don't know. With cars, your car is the sport model.
But it's different with cars. It's
yeah, but still, it sounds better to me.
Yeah, but not with watches though. It sounds like the middle one is the regular Apple Watch. It should be the bottom one should be the Apple Watch, and the other ones are kind of upgrades upon it. You know, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so I'm gonna buy one. Like I said, I'm gonna buy the sport one, but I'm really reluctant on doing so. Like I didn't think I would ever be such on the fence about buying it. Because I was so dead set. I was like, I don't care what it is. I am so gonna buy it. And
now you're like,
I mean, I'll definitely enjoy it. I don't know. I'm not getting the one I want. So
yeah,
that's a bit of a bummer. But I can't justify spending that kind of money on the one I want. It just doesn't make sense. I even told Giancarlo, I was on the call with him a couple days ago. I said $750 is the most I would spend on the space gray with the metal band. Like, and that's like the top of how much I'd be willing to spend.
All right, that's stretching it, but
that's stretching it. It's over that by $350. So
you're like, well, I guess I'm not getting the space black. Sorry, friggin' watch. So yeah.
So yeah,
but I guess I have to deal with our phones. So no, it's gonna be rough.
Well, you need to get an iPhone first before you even consider getting an Apple Watch. So
it's true.
We'll work on that.
Yes. That's my next step.
Yeah, I mean, you have
10 years from now, I might get a watch.
10 years from now, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not as excited about it as I thought I would be. And the other thing, one last point I want to make before we end the show is they did the keynote today. They announced it back in September, which was what, 5 months ago. And it's still not going to come out till the last week of April. So we still got like 2 months to go almost.
Well, there's speculation it was going to be the 20th of April or the 13th of March, which would have been like this week. I think it would have been kind of dope if they were like, oh yeah, it's for sale like right now, pre-order. Like that would have been kind of cool.
What they normally do is when they announce it, it's like 2 weeks after the announcement is when it's released.
At most, right?
You know, so for it to be too... I mean, I can understand if they announced it fresh on this keynote, like they didn't have that September thing, and they released it in April, that makes sense. Because they did that with the iPad. I don't know if you remember. They announced it like late January, and it was released early March. So it was about 2 months. That's about right for a brand new product. Give people time to save up for it and stuff like that. I'm not sure why there's such a long time from announcement to release.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this is they're actually going to have these in store prior to being a release. I think it's April 10th when they go up for pre-order. You
can try them on.
You actually have to schedule an appointment in the store, and you have a genius person. They walk you through like all the different options, and they have you try it on and stuff like that. So it's like
AKA someone who doesn't know about watches.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they are hiring people specifically in the fashion business for this, but I highly doubt it. But yeah, at least you'll be able to try them.
It has a good processor.
But at least you'll be able to try them. You see different colors, different materials. Not like the iPhone where people are trying to decide between the 6 and the 6 Plus. They had to buy it blindly because they never held either of them. So,
but there's only 2 options, not 20.
Yeah, with the different bands, and
which I guess to end off the show, kind of slowly, we can talk about those band prices. That's like really the only thing that you can change like drastically about the looks, and they're about like ranging from like $250 and up for the band.
$50 for the sport band, which I mean it's
for the good bands, I should say.
But $50 even for a sport band. It should be more like $30, but Apple will be Apple, $50. Yeah. But the one I want, the Link bracelet, it's $450 for that damn bracelet. So
they don't carry it in the black.
No,
right?
I as of right now, they only sell it in the regular steel.
Which is weird.
But like the leather ones are like $150, $250.
If you click on that, can you choose the color?
Let's see.
You might be able to do that.
Nope, it's just a regular one. But maybe down the road they'll probably sell. But still, $450. I mean,
that's a lot.
Even if to add it on to my to the sport model, it would be kind of silly. I might as well just buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
A $200 difference. I'd rather get the one I exactly want. But it just seems like a lot.
This is totally a tax season buy.
That's your whole tax return unless you scam the system like certain people. But anyway. So that's enough for this show. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes.
Because, I don't know. I feel like this was one of the more different keynotes. Yeah. It wasn't as exciting. The most exciting thing for me was the MacBook. I mean, that was like... I was expecting it, but...
But it sucks.
But still, I mean, it's something new. It's a new laptop, new hardware. Even the price, I mean, I don't know. It all sucked. Whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just don't like this whole Apple where they're going. That's what I'm gonna leave it off with. But would you have any last words to leave off with?
If the police coming straight from the underground. All right.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, F that $17,000 watch. Whoever buys that, send me a picture of you doing it, and I will come hunt you down. Anyway, yeah. So that's all I got to say.
Well, let me just say, if I had $10,000, I would rather be buying a Mac Pro with a couple of 4K displays. That's
then a fucking watch.
But
that's gold plated or whatever. Gold.
It's gold.
It's not solid gold. There's no way.
They're saying it
Even
is.
if it was, it is solid gold. How the hell is it? How are they doing? I feel like that'd be soft, like a soft metal.
It is a soft metal gold.
You'd probably nick the shit out of that within like.
Well, it's
a
like
year.
any other gold watch. But anyway.
No one wears gold watches. Anyway.
Until next time, guys. Maybe by then we'll have the Apple Watch. I don't know. We'll see.
Or you know.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Peace.